Hello, everyone. My name is Alma, and today I will be talking to you about this book called Quit: The Power of Knowing When to Walk Away, and it was written by Annie Took. So, I chose this book because I think that as organizational behavior students and as people in general, I think that we need to talk a little bit more about the challenge of quitting. I think since we were little, we've been told that quitting is bad and that it's something that doesn't lead us to success. And I think that this book tackles along that challenge that quitting is not necessarily bad. So hopefully, this video inspires you to read this book and talk a little bit more about this challenge. Now we gotta talk about the importance of this topic. So, I think that in academics and careers and in our personal lives, we have been often been told that the road to success is perseverance and that quitting doesn't lead us there, which is not necessarily right. And Annie Duke does a great job, I think, in this book to show us that knowing when to walk away can actually be an advantage that we have over other people and that we can use that as a strategic advantage against others. So, um, it's really important, and as well that in a world where we are constantly needing to decide how to invest our time and our efforts and our money and our energy and resources and everything, I think that learning how to recognize when it's just more to walk away is essential for our future as leaders, as managers, or just professionals. And now, three key ideas of this book. I think that it has a lot, but summing it up to three, I think the first one would be the sunk cost fallacy, which is something that we've already talked in classes a lot. And I think that we sometimes have the tendency to continue in investing in something like projects, jobs, or something. And just because we've already invested our time and our efforts and our resources into those projects doesn't necessarily mean that we have a future in them or that it's just worth pursuing. So we tend to put those costs, as it says, into account. And I think that Annie Duke does a really good example as giving us different uh, stories, such as people who climb the Everest or people who were um, starting a business, and not because they've already put their time and their efforts, it means that it's worth continuing if they're putting their lives at risk or if they're putting their well-being or their family's well-being at risk. So I think that the cost fallacy is something to really take into consideration. Secondly, I think this is one of like the most important things that I have from this book is the quit or kill criteria. And it's basically predetermined rules or signals that you have and that can help us decide whether it's time to quit or walk away before we put our emotions and our biases in the way and we let them block us from doing the right decisions and just quitting into the project. And lastly, I think that we can stop thinking of quitting as failure and think of it as redirection. Annie Duke talks about how walking away at the right time allows us to free up our resources and focus in better opportunities and stop being from that path of a dead end and go into something better and something that's more meaningful. Now, if I were to critique two things from this book is first that I think Annie Duke does a lot of poker examples. She mentions how after being in a hospital, she had to take away time from her uh, job in a university. So she started doing poker games to have like extra money and stuff. So I think that since she had that expertise in poker, she started giving a lot of examples in poker in this book. And I think that, I mean, they're clear, but not everybody in this world can relate to those examples. I personally know that I didn't understand many of them because I was like, I mean, I don't play poker, so I don't know. And she could have expanded more into workplace examples or organizational examples, and that would have been a lot more useful. At the same time, I think that she kind of underestimated the social and the cultural pressure of quitting a job. Um, I think that she kind of forgets that it can come with a reputation cost. So I think it would have been valuable to provide with strategies with just dealing with the resistance of quitting, and that would have been way more helpful than just kind of forgetting about that side of quitting, which is, I think, something really important, that it does come with a cultural and a social pressure, just having other people thinking of you as a failure, because that's kind of the idea behind quitting, right? Lastly, if I were to think of three practical pieces of advice from this book, I think that first would be to define or kill criteria or quit criteria early. I think that, as I mentioned, whenever we start a job or a project or a class, as early as it is, I think that it's really important to set our conditions clear of when we would like to consider um, quitting or walking away, because this will keep us from failing into the sunk cost trap, and also it will set us up for success. Also, something really, really important is to find a quitting coach. Annie Duke mentions a lot in the book that having someone you trust and who has your benefit in, like, your best benefits at heart is really important, because they can give you an outside perspective and help you decide when it's necessary to walk away and when something is not worthwhile pursuing. And lastly, I think that we need to start reframing quitting as a strategy. I think we need to view quitting as a way to maximize our long term success and redirect our effort into better opportunities instead of seeing quitting as a failure. In conclusion, I think that this book, Quit, reminds us that sometimes the best decision for us, it's not to continue in whatever project we're on or to push harder in it, but the best decision is to walk away, because as future leaders, I think that mastering this skill can be the difference between staying stuck in the wrong path and moving forward into something that means growth for us. Thank you.